Okay, when you do start drawing a male face, again, you can start with that basic oval at the top, but for the most part, the bottom is going to be very squared off. So this is going to be a little bit different. I've started with the oval. I'm going to put on my 2 guidelines here, except for the guideline for the bottom is going to be a little bit closer, the horizontal is going to be a little closer to the bottom than it normally is, because we're going to be adding sort of a squared off jaw here, because the male face has more of a squared off look at the bottom. Okay, so then once we have these 2 lines, then we can come back and we can, if these are our eyes, then we can kind of go in between, that'll be our nose, and then in between that will be our mouth. Okay, so now we're picking up much more of a male type face. Again, the eyes, they can be more angular if that's what you want them to be. I'll put the eyeball right in the center this time. And then again, in between these 2 eyes is an entire other eye, so you have to kind of gauge for that. So again, this would be this distance, so that distance in between, and then I would start my other eye on this side. And again, I'm going to make it a little bit more angular. Males have more angular features, and in cartooning or in graffiti drawing, which is basically what this is, you actually play up some of those or exaggerate some of those things to make them look a little bit more cartoonish. So again, the nose is probably going to be pretty angular. I'm just going to go with 3 lines here. And then the mouth is going to be a little bit straighter at the top, more squared off at the bottom. Okay. Then if we do this, men also have bigger eyebrows. A little bit more angular. Okay, so what we have here is we have the jaw down at the bottom. And then the top of this is probably going to be a little bit more rounded and connected. Now, at this point, if you wanted to put ears, because men generally have short hair, I would put the ears on. They're going to be somewhere in between this line here at the bottom of your eye and in between your nose. Well, actually, it'd be this line here of your eyebrow and your nose. So we'll put in a couple of ears. And I think I'm going to make this particular guy have a mohawk. So what you might want to do is then start his mohawk here and go backwards. Because of course you would only be seeing a section of his hair back here. So what would happen, and you could fix this here at the top if you wanted it to be more kind of crazy, but what it would look like then inked in would be like this. This particular pen I'm using is a little bit darker. It's more of a permanent marker. But we will be using the Uniball pens. And again, the eyebrows would be quite thick on a man, and then the mohawk would start there. Okay, again, once this dries, you would come back and you would actually use your eraser and erase. I just want to make sure that's dry. And then we can see what this person's face actually looks like. And it smeared it just slightly, but that's okay. Then, once you have the face onto your project, then you can start, really starting to see how this person looks by adding a neck and shoulders. And again, this is going to come off of your framework. That's basically how you draw a male face in sort of a cartoon version for a zombie or a graffiti drawing. Again, if you wanted to do zombie stuff, you could come back and remove an eye or remove an ear or have sort of something on, like a sore or a chunk missing out of his head. It's totally up to you what you want to do. This is the basics. Once you have the basics, then you can go ahead and you can start changing things out. So you could actually remove a part of his brain, but I would have had to do that before I inked it in. Okay, so let's just do a couple of things. We've got this man here who's basically just a punk kid. Let's say we wanted to do something where the mouth was open or there was a chunk missing on the person. So again, you're going to start with an oval. If it's a man, you're going to add to the bottom that sort of very kind of square jaw. Okay, I'll put in my guidelines. Okay, if basically you wanted to do an open mouth, you would probably want to start higher up. And what I usually do is I make a mouth that's sort of like this. Okay, so you have two lips and then an open area. Let's make that a little bit wider so that we have some of this. Teeth are basically just a series of squares. Obviously, you would have, there's your teeth. Nose, let's say the nose is missing. So basically, if your nose is missing and it becomes very skeletal again, it's going to be very rounded with a couple of bones here. And we know that because the skull really doesn't, your nose is made out of cartilage. So if you wanted to do it this way, and then I'm going to do, bigger, I think, eyes on this person. They're going to be a little scarier. And they're really going to be looking straight out. Again, the eye is going to be the same distance because that is human proportion. And so I would actually have them sort of staring right at you. Now, if you wanted to take a chunk out of his head, you would just kind of draw in a chunk that's maybe missing. And then obviously you would come back in Illustrator with your coloring and actually figure out where that is and then color it in. The other thing that if you want this to look more zombie-like, like they've been a zombie for a while, you can bring the cheekbones in, and then they start to look a little bit more skeleton-ish because zombies are going to be a little bit depraved of food. Again, I probably would, let's say we just do a regular male's haircut, but then they would be missing their hair there. We'll just do a short haircut and maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an ear on this side. And then maybe they're, here's an And then maybe he's missing the ear. We don't know, but we'll put it on there, I guess. Okay. So I have a bunch of guidelines here, so let me ink this in and show you what it looks like. Again, the jaw is very angled, and you're starting to get more of that skull looking hybrid in between you know, the human with the flesh and the skull. Here's the ear. And again, all I did was I brought the cheekbones in to make him look a little bit like he hadn't had anything to eat for a while. Or at least he was starting to look a little skinny. Okay, and then the nose will just be a hole basically in the face with, and this is a little bit smiley here. You could make this look, you know, a little bit more menacing by just squaring, or excuse me, making the teeth a little bit sharp. And you know, I'm gonna kind of jag at this chunk because my brain would be sticking out if I had sort of been bitten here. And I'll just make that a little darker so you can kind of see it. And again, if you wanted to put, you know, blood or decay on that as well, you could. Again, it's totally up to you what you want to do. So now I'm going to use my eraser again. We're just going to erase some. Oops, I kind of smeared that bummer. Should have waited till it completely dried. And I can go over it and show you what it looks like again. Here, we'll go over it with the darker pen. So if you want your person to look skinnier, the trick here is bring the cheekbones in. If you want them to look more menacing, I know maybe their nose is missing. And I sort of messed this up when I erased it, but we'll fix it. The great thing about us bringing this into Illustrator is that we're going to have the opportunity to fix some of the stuff that gets messed up in the actual drawing itself. And then I, of course, would, you know, this is going to be gone, so we'll square that up a little bit more at the top. Okay, then obviously they would have, maybe they would have hair down here, I don't know. But you get the idea, that's how you would start to decay things out.